So last night I made a video about upper cervical spine chiropractors and essentially how it's all bullshit, and it prompted a lot of good questions online today about what I do differently as a physical therapist. But I want to talk to you about the anatomy and pathophysiology of upper cervical spine injuries first. You have to understand that ligaments are what holds bones together, right? So at the base of our head and into our upper cervical spine, there's several important ligaments: the alar ligament, transverse ligament, and there's many more. But around these ligaments, there's also muscles that stabilize our joints, such as multifidus, rotatory, semispinalis cervicis, longus colli, longus capitis. I can go on, but these muscles are what creates stability and support to our spine. And in fact, if we feel instability of the upper cervical spine, the last thing you want to do is manipulate it, because it's going to create more instability. So someone asked me the other day about the fingers popping, and that's common because the fingers are unstable joints. And as a physical therapist, if there's cracking or popping in the joints, it lets me know that there's a dysfunction, some kind of muscle imbalance that we need to work on. And people will come to me after seeing their chiropractor 3, 5, 10 years, and they'll say, man, I get the crack and it feels good, but then my muscles are tight right after. And it's because the internal muscles that are required for stability, if they're not strong, the external muscles like the upper traps and levators are always going to be tight. So you can crack your neck all you want, but the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And unfortunately, that's what I see, right? So I have to spend 6 months with people to essentially unfuck themselves after what the chiropractor did to them for years. So call this a public service announcement, but there is no evidence to support that saying cracking your upper cervical spine can fix lateral epicondylitis or patellar tendonitis. It just doesn't exist. That's not how it works. So the most important thing about today's message is that if you have a upper cervical spine instability, say from congenital abnormalities or rheumatic arthritis, the last thing you want to do is get cracked, because there's this important artery called the vertebral artery that goes up to our brain. And if you put excessive rotational force on that artery, it can tear. This is a vertebral artery dissection, which can lead to stroke. And that's what you see in the news when people die or have some kind of major injury from chiropractic care. So the chiropractors will tell you that it's rare, it doesn't happen, but it's on the news, it does. And you may say shark attacks are rare, but would you go swimming in the ocean with an open wound? No, it's not worth the risk. Would you run into an open field with a metal pole during a lightning storm? No, you might get electrocuted, right? So if you want to play Russian roulette with your neck, it's your prerogative, but call this a public service announcement. I'm just trying to protect people and let them be aware of the dangers of getting manipulated if you have instability. So you should be working on stability. So I hope this makes sense. Reach out if you have any questions. Till next time, aloha.